Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long winter and probably winter still in a lot of places where you're probably watching this video right now. There's probably some snow on the ground. Here in zone 8B, the weather is decent. It's in the low 60s in El Paso here, but we still get down to in the 30s or sometimes in the high 20s. So it's still not ready to go to start gardening outside, but now is the time to start working on your spring garden by planting some of your seeds indoors, and then you'll transplant them outdoors. So I'm doing one of the things that I love, which is, first of all, watching football. And my Browns didn't do all that well yet this year, but there's always hope. There's always hope every year. But the other passion that I have is gardening. So I can't wait to get back into gardening. I'm outside here on the patio watching some football, playoff football, and doing some gardening. So what I wanted to share with you today is exactly what I'm doing today, how I'm doing my seed starting. I'll put a couple of links below on a few seed starting videos that I've done in the past if you want some more specific, real good details. But what I'm going to do today is just kind of give you some general ideas about what I'm doing here in my garden to start my seeds. So the first thing is that when you're going to choose a seed starting mix, you can make your own, of course. That's really simple, using some kind of either a coco coir or peat moss. You can use perlite and vermiculite, and really that's all you really need in your seed starting mix. You don't want anything really organic, major stuff organic, because then that will cause other things such as like funguses and those kinds of things. So you can also purchase some seed starting mix. I got this seed starting mix on clearance at the local big box store. I think I got this one at Walmart. It was like $1 for this whole entire bag, and this is 12 quarts for $1. So you can't really go wrong with getting this. But let me show you some of the problems that you can have with the cheap seed starting mixes. And again, this has 3-in-1. It has a fertilizer in there. Remember, you don't really need any of that kind of stuff when you're doing your seed starts. So take a look at this soil here. As you're looking at this soil, you can see how this soil has got a lot of different big chunks of wood in it, and it's not really good for the seed starting. You want something that's really nice and small regarding the mix. So you don't want any of these big chunks of wood. So what I'm going to show you today is how you can take this cheap seed starting mix that has a whole bunch of big wood chunks in it, and we're going to refine that a little bit and make it a little bit easier to pot our seeds. Okay, and so you can use whatever you have, and that's one of the things about gardening with me is I try to keep it as simple as possible. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like the things that I'm doing, or if you want to learn more about upcycling things, using things for a different purpose, repurposing them. This is just a basket that I found. I think it's probably like something for fruits and vegetables, but I found this in the garage, and so I'm going to use this. You can find things that are a little bit more finer as far as the holes in your container, but basically you're going to use some type of sifting of your soil, so then that way you're going to turn this basically wood-filled big chunks of soil here into something that's really nice and refined. And you can see also the differences between the sifted soil that I did here and also the big wood chunks that are left over. So that's kind of the difference of how you're going to make this. And the finer your sifting median is going to be, the finer your soil will be. All right, so let's first take a little bit of this soil here. We're just going to put this into our little container, and all I'm going to do is I'm just shaking this, and the bigger chunks are going to stay in here, and the smaller chunks are going to, finer soil is just going to kind of come down to the bottom here. So you'll see that in that 2 handfuls that I put in here, and you can see here, this is what's remaining, and these are the big, large chunks of wood. So we're going to take this, we're just going to put this aside, and put this good soil in there, and then we'll have that comparison of how much we've done in from this bag here, okay? So we'll take this, same thing, and you can do this with all of your soils if you want. Just a little bit extra work if you want to purchase something that's a little bit less expensive, and you can do this on your own, very simple. So we won't go through the whole bag, but just want to give you an idea. And remember, this is just the amount that I'm sifting out is based on the size of your sifting container. Okay, so just from there, the 2 little things that I've done, you can kind of see here. Let's put this way just so you can kind of see the difference. So look at the amount here that I did. This is all good soil here. Again, I would probably want this a little bit more refined, but again, this will work for our purposes today. And then you have all of this here. So this is one thing that we want to make sure that we want to try to avoid. So you're going to want to determine when you start your seeds based on the last frost date that you have in your zone. I'll put a link below on how you can find your own last frost date or freeze date, and then you count backwards from that date, and that's when you're going to start your seeds. I use a seed starting calendar, and there's plenty of them out there, and all of them are usually pretty well taken by most people. I have recently started using this one that's called Seed Time. I'll put a link below for that also. Seed Time is great. It gives you when you should be starting your seeds, when you cultivate the garden, and then also when you can start to transplant them out into the garden after you started the seeds. So so that's what I personally use right now. I've been using that for the last couple of years, and it's been working for me very well. So once you find your last frost date, so today is January the 20th, and our last frost date is March the 9th here in zone 8B. So in El Paso, that's our last freeze. So I have a feeling it's going to actually be a little earlier than that, but again, better to be safe than sorry. So anyway, so the main thing is the things that take longer to germinate and before you're going to transplant them outside are usually your peppers and your tomato plants. So peppers usually take 6 to 8 weeks. So if you look on the back of the package, it'll tell you exactly how long you're going to take before they germinate. And then of course, some of them will say 7 to 14 days, but again, when you're going to transplant them out and when you're expected to harvest. So, but peppers usually take 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost date. So we're already at that point here. So we're going to start doing that today. So I'm going to plant all of my peppers. Again, I'll put a link below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. There's a great video that I just did recently about overwintering some of your plants. I overwintered 8 this year. I was a little aggressive, but I had some really good producing pepper plants. So I'll put a link below on that also. So the pepper plants that we're going to do today, well, I'm going to do that in a separate video, but I'm preparing all of my seed starting the mix, but also my medians here. So the peppers are 6 to 8 weeks, tomatoes are 4 to 6 weeks, and then I'm also going to do some onions, and I'll show you how I'm going to upcycle some things with the onions. Okay, so most importantly, okay, and this is very, very important, is when you're going to do your seed starting mix regardless of how you do it, what you do, where you get it from, how good it is, you want to for sure make sure that you sterilize your mix. What happens if you don't sterilize your mix? In this mix, in most soils, you're going to have fungus gnats or fungus gnat eggs. Those will hatch, I guarantee it, once you start putting water on this and a nice warm environment. Those fungus gnats are going to be crazy out in your house, depending on where you're starting your seeds. So one thing I always recommend is to boil some water. Take that boiled water and just pour that on your seed starting mix. And what that will do is that's going to kill off all of those fungus gnats. Now, if you feel like you need to, and then of course you're going to mix that up, so we're going to do that while I'm talking here. If you feel like you need to, you can also do, and I'm going to try this year, and I'll do a separate video. I'll put the link below when I do that, on how to use hydrogen peroxide as a median or something to kill off these fungus gnats and protect your seedlings. So you can protect your seedlings by also, I've read that you can use chamomile tea and use that as a median to help protect from fungus, not only fungus, but fungus gnats forming on your seedlings. That will, if you don't do that, then you're going to have what they call dampening off of once your seeds sprout and germinate, they'll start to grow, and then there's a condition called the dampening off, and that disease will kill your plant. So we want to try to, of course, avoid that. So now once you've moistened your soil, and that's another tip, okay, is that you want to make sure that your soil is already moistened before you start your seedlings. So you're going to use that boiling water, kills off all the fungus gnats, and now we have this nice moist soil, okay? Once you do that, you can put that in different various containers, okay? So I'm using something like this that I've recycled over the years from different plants that I've had. Either I purchased them at a big box store or a nursery. I also have this 72 cell planting cells, I guess. And then I just purchased, and I really, really like this a lot, this burpee. This is 16 cells, but the thing I really like about this, and I'm really excited about using this year, is it has these silicone molds at the bottom, and it's not going to be that great to see because the soil is just in here. There's no plants and no roots to hold this in. But what you basically do is you push this up, and you can see how that pulls up the individual cell a little bit, and you can probably see that pretty good. So what that does is that allows us to take that particular plant out without damaging the root system and those kinds of things. Now, one thing also that I really love about this, and again, I'll put a link below on the review that I did on this, but this has got different, it has different cells, but it also has, it's alphanumerically done. So in the center, you have A, B, C, and D, and then you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So sometimes, even us good gardeners or bad gardeners will plant seeds, and what happens is oh my gosh, what was that? You think that you know, oh, I'm going to remember that these are peppers or bell peppers or whatever they are, and next thing you know, 3 days later or 3 weeks later, it's like something sprouting, and you don't know. So if you write that down, sometimes you can still put your little paper. You can use tongue depressors. You can use all kinds of different things to mark and name your vegetables, but again, and what seeds you're planting. But again, I really like this, and I'm going to try to see if I can purchase a few more of these. Now, my onions, I'm going to plant this year. I'm going to use a different upcycle. And again, I'll put a link later on a video how you can do your onions. Onions, you can just sow the seeds right in. You don't have to plant them in certain things because those are easy to tease out those roots and plant those individual cells. So what we're going to do is I'm going to upcycle. This is from a sandwich that I had a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, and you put your soil right in here. This actually acts as a humidity dome also once you close this, and then when those seeds start to sprout, then you can just leave that open, and then it allows that to the seeds to grow. You can put some holes in the bottom here, and then that'll allow the water so it doesn't soak and get soggy. I'm also using these nice, I don't know if they're tin, but these aluminum kind of food that you use for different parties that you go to. I always never throw these away. Sometimes I'll even go into the garbage and pull them out when people throw them away, because these are great. Because what I'm going to use with this here is on the bottom here is I put some slits, okay, and I'm going to put my dirt here, my soil, and once I have my soil in here, now I'm going to plant my onion seeds, and I'll just plant a whole bunch of onion seeds here. Of course, I'm going to mark them and make sure I know which variety I'm planting, but basically that's what I'm going to do in here. And then once they grow maybe 2, maybe 3 inches or so, I'll pull out a clump and I'll separate them, and then I'll start planting them either in the garden or in containers. So this is a good way to do it. You always want to bottom water all of your container or your seeds, because that we'll explain that to you in just a second. But basically, that's why I put the slits on the bottom of this, and then I have the second, and that's where you're going to bottom water your onions, okay, or whatever else you're going to plant in there. You can plant all kinds of different stuff in there. So and then so just remember to upcycle things that you think you're going to throw away, that maybe think about, maybe that might be something that you could use in your seed starting or even in your garden. So I've given you a couple examples of how I've used old mop poles to use them as garden poles or things like that. So if you like what you have seen so far, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and then also if you want to share this with your friends, that is much appreciated. I love gardening, and this is one of my passions, and I hope it is yours too. So until next time, happy gardening.